Welcome to 3 Count Commentaries. So, we're going to talk about a tweet thread that I saw by ClownBall9 on Twitter. We're going to discuss this. It's actually something that was on my mind. I don't know how to put things out sometimes. Sometimes I'm just too busy to sketch out ideas on my own, so I just use other people's ideas to sort of bounce off of. And ClownBall put out a, 8 or 9 tweet thread, and talks about why WWE and the talent seem more lazy than productive in 2025. I am very interested in everything he's about to put here because it's all a little bit of the problem. Some of it is repetitive, but a lot of it is part of the problem. Why this road to WrestleMania has felt so incredibly lackluster. Just incredibly lackluster. So he first defines lazy by saying that they're coasting and not putting in effort. Not saying that they're not working hard. So he says, 1, all of the big segments are falling flat because they all rely on the hype and the big boom that the company is in right now. I think that's a cop-out for not putting out good storylines anymore. Let's talk about this because I think this is part of the problem, in so much that Triple H says we got a good thing going. We don't need to go hard. We can relax. You know, that's one of the things that happens when you give somebody too much praise. Like, they start to think that they don't have to work that hard. They stop working so hard. They stop putting forth the effort because they feel like they're so far ahead. You know, Triple H, when he first got the job, he had to prove himself, right? The people was willing to give him the chance. People were willing to give him the opportunity and the space. And because his storylines were jumping in some cases, some of the things he were doing was unique. A lot of the things that he was doing was giving the talent space. He was pushing new people. He was bringing new people in. So it was constantly new talent coming in. They were trying to establish folks. And it felt fresh, like there was some sort of rejuvenation. But that was 2 or 3 years ago now. All right. Now they've been riding this wave of, I think they said 40 sellouts or something to that effect. And they feel like they can't do no wrong. And since you can't do no wrong, you just start, chilling. We don't have to put in the effort this week. It all started last year, though. It started in 2024. Like, I have not been a huge fan of the creative, but it became very damn obvious in 2024, late 2024, that they were not putting forth maximum effort. Right after War Games, it was like almost 2 months before the next event. And there was like 2 Saturday night's main events. And everybody kept saying, oh, something's going to happen on Saturday night main event. Nothing happened. Oh, okay, well, they got another one coming up. Oh, they got the Netflix thing. Something's going to happen there. There's for sure going to be something big on Netflix. Nothing. Then, they got a Saturday night's main event in 2 weeks. They're going to they're going to do something there. Nothing. And then the Royal Rumble happens and Jey Uso wins. And people are like, what the hell? And it's been a downward slide ever since. Now, it doesn't mean that certain things have not been happening. The Rock has appeared. John Cena showed up. John Cena turned heel. But they took their foot off the gas last year. They stopped putting forth maximum effort. They figured they're so far ahead. Business is so good. They don't need to do this stuff anymore. Now, I'll use the word that he used because I said this about 1.5 years ago. A lot of the talent have gotten lazy. Now, I'm going to use the word lazy in a traditional sense because Vince is not there to apply pressure on them anymore. That's what it is. Everybody talks about how cool it is, how chill it is. Oh, everybody's chilling all the time. It's like, yeah, you're chilling, and only certain people are getting TV time, and it's cool, man, whatever. I go out there, I say whatever I want, I show up whenever I want. Like, most of the main event guys barely show up now. They put all these effort into, like, CM Punk and Roman Reigns and John Cena. These guys show up once every 2 months. So you invest all the time in pushing these guys who only show up once every 2 months. What about everybody else? And some of these people are starving and they want opportunities. They want to be out there. Andrade, for instance, is a guy who wants to be out there. He ain't getting the spot though. Like that's the thing, man. Like, and I know a lot of these guys are older. Cena, Rock, these guys are busy. But that's why you don't build the entire show around them. Vince always saw these guys as attractions, right? You bring these people in, they pop their part of the show, but there has to be something else on the show from the regular roster guys that is interesting. Because that whenever Vince has failed on WrestleMania, it's been because of that. Oh, he brought back Randy Orton, or he brought back Undertaker, and he just said fuck the rest of the card. That's always going to be a recipe for disaster, and he does do that. And it seems like this is Triple H doing the same thing. We turned John Cena heel. We don't need to do nothing else. The Rock's going to be involved somehow. We don't know how, but that's going to keep you satiated from January to April. And he's learning right now that it's not true. So Clown's second point is the overinflated ticket prices. He says a lot can be said about this one, but I'll keep it simple. The prices do not reflect the shows and how good they are. The examples: March 21st SmackDown, March 17th Raw, pretty much any SmackDown from mid-May 2025 to now. I guess he meant 2024. Charging people an arm and a leg to see subpar segments is a scam, and you can't convince me otherwise. Yes, but the issue is a lot of those tickets were sold before a card was set. A lot of those tickets were sold based off of the point number one, which was the brand was hot. And now people are like, oh, we up. So I'm going to go and pay these inflated ticket prices because something might actually happen on these shows. They didn't know that when they went over to Europe, they wasn't going to get nothing. Oh, one town got John Cena, and one town got a brawl between Roman, the Seth Rollins, and CM Punk. But everybody else, well, maybe they got a good dark match. Maybe they got, you're one of the lucky towns that got Gunther versus CM Punk or Gunther versus AJ Styles or something. But other than that, good luck. Up and down the card, it was very, very weak. But the inflated ticket prices is based off largely the hype around how good business is. 3, the entire TKO partnership. Now, I have slowly but surely started to turn against the TKO thing because I look at them as being the reason why the ticket prices are so high. I recently did a video complaining about, meet and greets, and you got Mark Shapiro firing cameramen because they want to go with a clean, slim, efficient production team, which, is probably the right thing in comparison to, the bloated, overproduced product during the late stage events where there was like 100,000 camera cuts. Having a more efficient product that hasn't suffered from that efficiency but has actually improved has been good. But they started cutting house shows and affecting their smaller town fan base, which I think is the heart of the company. They might not be the financial center of the company, but they're the heart of the company. And I think that even when you look at now, Nick Khan wants to constantly run Las Vegas, constantly run New York. I mean, it's hit the same towns over and over again. And they want to keep running to Europe or Saudi Arabia or whatever. It's a thing where they're kind of forgetting. Again, I'm going to say it again. They're forgetting who the audience is. The audience is not movie stars and celebrities that you drag out to throw on camera for one night. All right? The audience is the people who are in the crowd. And you need to stay connected to the people at the ground level. These are not people who pay $40 for t-shirts, though. That's a gift for their kid. $40 t-shirts is a little much. I know it's inflation, and I get it. But, $6,000 meet and greets, with Triple H, or I think they canceled the thing with Hulk Hogan, probably due to poor sales. But the $1,000 tickets to get to WrestleMania, plus hotel and travel and food, oh, come on, like it's not realistic. And TKO is definitely misunderstanding who the audience is for WWE, and it's almost as if, and I think this is part of the issue, the sponsorships that was the big issue with when Vince was there, was they couldn't generate any sponsorship revenue. That was a huge problem. Everything else was fine. They were selling tickets, selling merchandise, everything was fine. But like for the last 2 or 3 years before they ousted Vince, it was sponsorship revenue. They kept comparing it to UFC. The sponsorship revenue wasn't the same. This is Lightshed Partners and all these people. They were like, oh, what's going on with your partnership division or sponsorship division? Stephanie was put over that. She failed miserably. That was just, it was what it was. And then as soon as Vince sold the company, sponsorships kicked up. Part of the thing they did was they sold the ring, right? They started selling ad space on the ring. They had the big Prime bottle on the side of the ring all the goddamn time now. All of the shows features tons and tons of commercials. Even if you have the commercial-free tier of Peacock or Netflix or whatever, they still have commercials. That has dragged the show down. But that's what they needed to do to get the sponsorship revenue. They needed to sell the ring. They needed to add commercials, even to ad-free spaces, in order to sell ad revenue. And this is what TKO has been doing. It's not been fan-friendly, despite the fact that it comes across as being fan-friendly. It hasn't been fan-friendly. The fourth point, he says, is shoehorning celebrities on TV every chance they get to prove how much the company has, quote, grown, when in reality, it looks like a desperate attempt to please the executives. I don't think that. I think it's a desperate attempt to clout chase. It is, hey, look at all these cool people who come to our show. You should want to come to our show too. Except some of these people are not necessarily cool. Like, look, Topanga, which is like a picture he got right here. That's a TV show from the 1993 or something like that. Most people don't know idea who she is. Macaulay Culkin ain't really been famous since 1992 or 1991 when he was a little boy. Like, rappers, okay. Rappers that people may have heard of. Sure. Ball players, soccer athletes, etc. Yeah, sure. It may work for them. But a lot of the other celebrities that they bring out, I think a lot of it is sponsorship deals. Record companies paying WWE to throw their artists on television. All the artists got to do is sit there and wave and all that. It's another one of those sponsorship things. Almost certain that's why you see so many celebrities now, is they're paid to be there. Or somebody's paying for them to be there. I know some of them are legit fans, like Macaulay Culkin and Topanga and, some of the other ones. They are legit fans. But there are probably more often than not people who are just paid to be there. Or like WWE has some kind of deal with somebody else where they'll get on camera so Michael Cole can shield their album or shield their movie or whatever the hell, right? But a lot of this is clout chasing from my perspective. That's why they bring in iShowSpeed and all these guys. They want to impress the kids. Hey, look, your favorite streamer is in the ring now. Your favorite streamer is, participating in the show. Isn't that fun? And look, it is occasionally, but then they are doing it a little much. His fifth point, heavily relying on social media to carry feuds and make matches. Well, this is becoming more of an issue than I thought. I don't really follow too many wrestlers on social media. I really don't. I try to keep my my Twitter clean of that kind of stuff. But I did see that there's all these three-way feuds now. And so there's like Bianca and Jade are arguing kayfabe on Twitter. So you got that thing, and you had Naomi and Jade going at it on Instagram as a way of creating a more immersive experience. It's a better way to use kayfabe, and it would help if they would stop posting pictures together while they do this stuff. Like it would really help. And I'm talking about new pictures. They wouldn't do TikToks together and stuff like this while they're feuding. That would really help. So I'm not going to say this is a big problem, because the issue is the blurring of the lines. Like, is your Instagram and Twitter kayfabe, or is it legit? Like, it's one of those things where sometimes that's a good thing. Bianca Belair is posting videos of her making her own gear, and then she tweets some nasty stuff about Jade that that it's absolutely just kayfabe. She'll tweet something crazy about Rhea Ripley, but it's kayfabe. Like that blending sometimes can be good, but sometimes it could be bad too. But also you have promos and segments and things that only show up on Twitter or only show up on YouTube. And that could be a bit of a problem too if you're not one of those people that's in the bubble following everything. That could be a problem. His 6th point, Triple H and TKO constantly bragging about how business is booming and putting that in the talent's head, making them take a step back and not try as hard anymore. Well, see, I think 6 is very similar to 1. I think it's pretty much the same thing. I think the whole boom period concept is, hey, we're doing good. We could take our foot off the gas. I think we already discussed that. Point number 7, kayfabe is dead. He said, we all know that the business is fake, but they aren't even trying to hide it anymore, with them casually dropping the words heel and babyface on live television. Okay, this breaks immersion, which is one of the biggest, most important elements of pro wrestling, which is why it's such a cardinal sin when Triple H and John Cena are doing it. If you continue to break immersion, breaking the fourth wall, it is not good. Okay? It's not good. Deadpool is pretty much the only character that gets away with talking directly to the camera. Right? Pretty much everybody else has to act as if the camera does not exist. You have to act like this shit is real. That's how you get people emotionally invested. People will not emotionally invest if you're telling them it's a show. Then they could just say, oh, well, it's a show. They have to believe that this is real. Especially the kids who are the target audience. I know Triple H probably doesn't believe that. But WWE is not going to survive if the target audience is above 12 years old. I can guarantee you that. It's not going to survive long. If you try to say, well, the target audience is 18 to 34, it's not going to survive after that. Because the only people who watch this shit consistently and believe in it are children. If you want WWE to be like AEW and MLW and the rest of these indies, then keep shooting for the 18 to 34 or the 34 to 45 audience. Immersion is extremely important. Kids get engrossed in the product. People who truly want to engage in the show, they want to be engrossed in the product. Immersion is important. That's why selling is important, because selling helps with immersion. If you jump up from a pile driver, and that's not really your character, like if you're Sting or Road Warrior Hawk or the Ultimate Warrior or something like that, then people will be like, okay, you can get up from a pile driver, no big deal. But if you're Will Ospreay, you're like, I guess that pile driver was just the shits then. Like people lose interest and the moves don't mean as much. It takes them out of the story, right? Because I know if you drop me on my head, I'm staying down, bro. I ain't in no rush to get up. So That's how things work. So I actually agree with that. Number 8, he's got Triple H is the booker. I think a lot of this is Triple H's fault. You know, it has to be him and Nick Khan as a team, because Nick Khan is running the company and Triple H is the booker. All right. So I mentioned this earlier about the talent feeling way too comfortable. And now that they're comfortable, they have all this quote unquote freedom. They don't put forth the effort anymore. You know, they feel like they don't need to. The desire to change. Like you saw quite a few people even didn't stop working out as much. Let's say that. Some people's physiques have changed. A lot of people's attitudes have changed. A lot of people's behaviors have changed. You know, things have gotten very lackadaisical around there because some people are like, Triple H likes me, I'm locked in, so I don't have to go as hard. Other people are working their ass off and getting nothing because Triple H doesn't like them, and so it doesn't matter. Or he just doesn't appreciate them right now, or he's just prioritizing other people. That's part of the issue. And a lot of this stuff that we talked about earlier, it also continues because Triple H is the booker. Such as the earlier conversation about kayfabe being dead. Again, this is one of the guys who is involved with, you know, talking on television about the curtain call and stuff like this. This is what Triple H and Nash and all these guys have been about for 30 years now. Breaking immersion. This is the guy who wanted to pack up the Spirit Squad and send them back to OVW. You know, that kind of shit, you know? So Triple H has done his fair share of all of this stuff on this list. And a lot of it was because he was locked in as a top guy with political clout, and he was always going to be figured in. So now he's doing the same thing with other people. He's locking them in. There's nothing they can say or do outside of going to jail or something like that, where they're going to lose a spot. So they don't need to work as hard. So they don't. They focus on having fun, which, you know, is a positive. It's a good thing. You want people to have fun, but you want this thing to feel serious as well. And there's been a lot of people who have been having a lot of mid promos, a lot of mid matches, and they continue to get TV time, you know, because Triple H, they're in the Triple H camp. Nia Jax is one of them. You know, she got a title run, and people did not want to see her to win, and really didn't serve anybody any goodwill in doing so. She didn't even put Tiffany Stratton over clean, which of course hurt Tiffany Stratton in the long run because she won the title via Money in the Bank shenanigans. So you got that going on, but a lot of the blame is going to get laid at Triple H because he's the one putting together the shows. You know, he was the one who was talking about the Netflix show can be any length of time, and now they've settled on about 2 hours and 30 minutes or so. He's the guy who keeps coming out to do the "Are you ready? This is the new WWE." Yeah, like, oh my God. Throwing his face on everything. You know, like Sean is getting pretty bad with that in NXT too, but you know, he doesn't show up on NXT every damn week either. It's actually a special occasion when Sean shows up. Unlike Triple H, who puts his name on everything and face on everything. The issue is they're trying to use him to babyface the promotion. See, Triple H is a good guy. You like him, right? It's like, yeah, but there's still people who, you know, compared to Vince, it's like, all right, you know, we're going to compare the Mummy to Dracula. I might be more favorable to the Mummy, but he's still going to try to eat my fucking brain, you know, so maybe not. Where did I come with that? Anyway, I'm not sure which is worse. Scratch that. We got to come up with something better. So Vince is absolutely Dracula. But what's worse than is not as bad as Dracula? Give me a universal monster that's not as bad. Frankenstein? Nah. Frankenstein, he's a little too sympathetic. I'll come up with something eventually, maybe in one of the other videos. But anyway, it's almost like everybody recognizes that Vince is an undead, blood-drinking monster. And Triple H, by comparison, is a babyface. He was seen as the guy who built NXT from the ground up. You liked NXT, you liked all the takeovers, right? It's like, yeah, but then NXT ran out of gas. The moment that the pressure came on, NXT ran out of gas. You know, it flopped hard with Triple H at the helm for like a year and some change, maybe a little over a year and some change. Again, they started around the same time as Dynamite. By 2021, Triple H was gone. You know, he had a heart issue, but NXT was getting kicked thoroughly in the balls every single week. You know, that they may have won 5 or 6 times since then. But since they revamped NXT, I don't think they've lost to Dynamite head-to-head since. Think about that. And I know that, you know, whenever they go head-to-head, it's usually with Dynamite being on an improper night. But they haven't lost to them since. They were losing every week with Adam Cole and Finn Balor and Triple H back there booking the same fucking guys that he was booking 3 or 4 years prior. You know, maybe they'd get a bump if, you know, Sasha Banks came in or Keith Lee or somebody was wrestling in the main event. Other than that, they was getting kicked in the nuts every week. Triple H had proven that he was not a wartime booker. He was not ready for that spot. He benefited tremendously from the goodwill that the fans gave him when Vince left. And the fact that Tony Khan was over there lighting everything on fire in AEW. You know, he's taking the spark plugs out and throwing water in the engine and all kind of stuff. He's just doing all kinds of shit over there. And Triple H is just chugging along, adding fan favorite characters like EO and, you know, and all those people, bringing them in. And it all seemed like it was going to be great. And now, you know, a year and a half, 2 years later, John Cena has turned heel and WrestleMania is still ice cold. I couldn't have imagined it. And yet it's noticeable by everybody that as of March 23rd, 2024, WrestleMania has been ice cold. They're not going to sell out the venue as of right now. As of right now, the tickets are not selling. Why? It's because Triple H's creative has been poor, especially when it comes to the mid-card. He has leaned so heavily on the Codys and the Punks and the Romans that he completely forgot that there's an Intercontinental title, U.S. title, tag team belts. The women's championships are underdeveloped. Now, he did do a good job with the Naomi Bianca thing. He did a good job there. But that's about it. You know, the whole thing with Rhea Ripley and Io and Bianca has been a disaster. It's pissed everybody off. You know, again, these triple threats have done nothing but split the fan base. Multiple man matches. Like, WrestleMania is a big spectacle event. You know, like one of the things that have been that's been brought up is Vince wanted Edge to, you know, beat Finn Balor at WrestleMania. What was that, 39 or something? Who cares? For starters, who cares about that? Secondly, isn't that nice that you had a Hell in a Cell match at WrestleMania? A one-on-one match between two guys, a spectacle that people might be interested in, that people still talk about, that people would still care about what the proposed outcome would be 2 years later. People don't even give a shit about what's happening on shows right now. And I said this before. I said this, you know, like a week or so ago on one of these reviews. You have people talking about Vince era shit right now. Triple H is having 6 hours of television per week. And they're still talking about shit from 3 years ago, 4 years ago, 10 years ago. His product ain't sticking to the ribs. He's got to fix that. He needs to add something to the product. So here's Clown Ball's conclusion. He says WWE is at a point where whatever shit they put out, the fans will eat it up even if it isn't good. In the long run, this is very unhealthy because new fans that aren't seeing the talent at their full potential and will forever settle with whatever mediocre slop we're given. He put we've given, but it should have been we're given for the past year. Okay, I get it. I think a lot of it is you let the wrestlers chill, and now they're in chill mode. It's like this is the road to WrestleMania. It shouldn't be no days off. Not this many days off anyway. Like I understand some of these guys are busy, but they shouldn't be in the main event. It shouldn't be so many of them working main events, and you can't be there regularly. It's okay if it's one, if it's Brock or Undertaker or something like that. But when you got 4 or 5 guys who are not going to be there every week, that's problematic. You can't build a show like that. You absolutely can't do it. But I like this thread. I thought it was entertaining. Let me know what you guys think. And talk to you folks later. Peace.
No one does it better.